Andrew Luck's season is over. And I think this comes as a surprise to exactly nobody. Basically, he had gone to get a second opinion this week from Dr. James Andrews. The shoulder never quite felt right. And it was a situation here where everybody had been waiting for him to come back. They had talked about the fact that they were hopeful that he could be back for the start of the season, which he wasn't. Then it was about week 6 when he was eligible to come off PUP, which he wasn't. And now we're in week 8 or 9. He's going for second opinions. And a short time ago, the team announced it is placing Andrew Luck, or it has placed Andrew Luck, on IR. So any of the mysteries, any of the speculation, it now all goes away. It is Jacoby Brissett's show the rest of the week. And we should say that it also comes in a week in which the Colts worked out multiple quarterbacks, which was a sign that they didn't believe that Andrew Luck was going to be back this year. And really, with them being in the position that they are, there's no sense in bringing him back this year.
No, and this is an organizational decision as well. They didn't try to rush Andrew. They had, hints out there he might be back to give this team hope, but knowing that maybe he wasn't coming back, they finally made a decision. You know what? Shut him down for the year. Let's look for next year. This is good by the organization. When you do this, this sends a great message to your locker room, to all those players. Say, hey, look, we got a guy that we love to have this guy play. He's not ready to play. They're not going to force him to play. Players appreciate that because now they feel like you have their best interest in mind. And sometimes we know that's not always the case.
And this has got to be tough for Andrew because looking at it from the outside, he was doing everything he could to play for this team this year. He was trying to get back out there. He was trying to start with the throwing motion. He wanted to get back. So for him to even swallow his pride and say, I'll see you guys next year, this is a big thing because when you start to come back and make some throws and you need a shot for the pain because it's not going well, obviously that's not what you're looking for there. So for Andrew and the organization, like you're saying, Coach, just to say it's not happening, it's not a good situation right now. And also now you have to think about the future for Andrew and how it's going to be and if that shoulder's ever going to heal.
Well, and as frustrating it is, in case it might, though, the last thing anybody wants is to jeopardize that young quarterback's future as much as he means to the Indianapolis Colts. Bill Polian is with us. And Bill, you heard Adam Schefter with the news that Andrew Luck's season is over. Do you agree that this is not a surprise really for anyone at this point?
No, it's not a surprise. In talking to people with the Colts, they were worried that this might be the case. But the decision's been made now. Jacoby Brissett's going to be on the field and doing the job, and he's been doing a pretty good job up to this point. The key thing here, however, is to make sure that Andrew gets the proper medical care, that they go through this, and I know they will, with 1,000% accuracy in terms of determining what may or may not need to be done additionally with the shoulder, and then go through with the rehab again. The fact that he went to Dr. Andrews, I think, is a terrific move. And now let's see what happens from here on in from a medical standpoint, because having scouted him, having been part of the group that suggested to Mr. Irsay that he was the guy that would lead the franchise into the future. This is heartbreaking in many respects, but it's only a year, and he's a young guy. Let's make sure it's only a year, that he's back and ready to go next season.
Bill, thank you. We'll turn now to our Hall of Fame quarterback, Steve Young. Steve, if you were advising Andrew Luck at this point, what would you say to him?
Wendy, it's all about just getting healthy, and the idea that you go in for some surgery, and you got to understand now, we have a lot of expectations when it comes to medical science now, especially with joints, especially in the NFL with all the expertise, that there's a certain thing that's wrong and a certain thing that's going to take time that's going to get fixed, and then it gets fixed. And more times than not, that's what happens. And when it doesn't happen, then you say to yourself, that's when the record the old record, the needle, what is wrong? And I think that Teddy kind of talked about it there for a second. What does this mean? What is this? How does he get well? And if he gets well, is it 100% or is it ever 100% again? And as a quarterback, if you can't let it rip, if you can't just take the ball and rip it down the field, and Andrew was one of the all-time greats, it just changes your game, and then you become a different player. So that's the fear I have right now. The second you said just now when you said that he wasn't going to play this whole year, my mind raced. Like, what's the future of Andrew Luck? What can he actually be in the future? Or is everything going to be okay? And the fact is, with medical science today, when something doesn't go right, there's something significantly wrong. And we can't just say, oh, it's going to be fine. I think there's got to be at least a 50-50 shot that it's not fine.
Well, Steve, thank you. Stay with us. And I think, Adam, you have additional information?
Yeah, Andrew Luck told the Colts website today, and I'm quoting Andrew Luck, that he's very optimistic about his future. And he also said, and this is Andrew Luck now, I wish I was better and 100% this season, but that's not the case. I know I'll be better from this. I know I'll be a better quarterback, teammate, person, and player from this. And I'm excited for the future, putting a pretty spin on this particular picture that I think has to be very problematic and disconcerting for the future of the Colts organization. I know Andrew is upbeat about his recovery here, and he sounds upbeat there, but the fact of the matter is, as Steve said, there's a chance that something's wrong here.
Yeah, and you're hoping that he does recover, because when you look at this franchise and what he walked into after Peyton Manning left, he actually carried this franchise for 3 years. And the toll of that has finally paid dividends on this young man. And the fact that when he went there, this was a 2-14 team. It was basically the same players, new coaching staff, and for 3 years, for 3 seasons, this young man took this team, put him on his back, said, just ride with me, and I'll get us through this storm. And now, all of a sudden, when he's not there, you see what this team really is without him.